Did you see Filthy Frank before Joji?
Yes.
Well, you saw the pink guy meme.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has seen the one with Bane like this, and then pink guy's little and doing his thing.
I think that I thought he was a meme only. Like, I don't think that I ever watched any of his videos before I listened to Joji.
Right. So I had the reverse.
Yeah.
I saw Pink Guy and Filthy Frank before I ever saw or heard about Joji, like, in order. But to me, it was like Pink Guy Vine clips.
Yeah.
And Filthy Frank Vine clips that people would show me, and like from Reddit memes, 2014, 15, maybe 13, I was seeing some Filthy Frank or Pink Guy for sure. But I had no clue that it was this big phenomenon. Like, I wasn't really in the know about like YouTube and internet culture that much up until probably 2018. But I was a lurker of many things. And so I had seen Filthy Frank and Pink Guy, and would quote some of his very jacked up, questionable content with my friends in the military. Because military humor is locker room talk on steroids. You meet people of all walks of life that give absolutely no fuck whatsoever.
Well, that's true.
And so there was some ridiculous shit said, and he was brought up a lot. But it wasn't until I heard, which song was it? Yeah, Right, by Joji.
I like that one.
And I was like, damn, this is some badass shit. Who the fuck is this? And then I was like,
that's what I remember.
What
I remember you listening to that music, and then you were like, oh my god, babe, you don't even understand. He used to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, okay. And you're like, no.
No, not just... Yeah, because it wasn't even like he was just a YouTuber. This was one of the most radical motherfuckers I'd ever seen, who just did the craziest shit. And this music was like as mainstream and poppy
I see a lot
as it can
of girls that I would never imagine to watch Filthy Frank post that they're listening to Joji, and I'm like,
you have no fucking idea. I
didn't fucking know.
I'll bet they don't. I'll bet still. I mean, they have tried to cancel him. There have been attacks on this man's name like crazy, but it's just like nobody cares. There's a certain level where just like nobody cares. Look at Drake, man. That guy has done so much jacked up shit, and it doesn't matter what you say about him or how many underage girls come out and are like, yeah, he was grooming me. It doesn't matter.
Or like people still listen to Chris Brown, and I'm like, ooh.
Right. If that shit that Chris Brown has done, I mean, he whipped Rihanna's ass.
Like women
at
being
the
like,
peak of her fame.
Chris Brown is so great. And I'm like,
no. Right. So like,
why?
The shit Joji did in comparison is nothing. He was an internet troll.
I shake my head in agreement, but I don't fucking know.
Oh, I mean, he's done some fucking very questionable things.
So,
very
don't be like, oh yeah, I think he's just
but
like,
none of that
I don't know.
None of that compares to like actual, hurting people.
If it's just like the weird shit that I've seen about him, like in parks, acting like he's doing things he shouldn't be doing, but
the weird shit and just saying really jacked up shit.
So should I watch this if I don't know the videos?
Yeah, this is a deep. Well, the title's already out there. Yeah, it's a deep dive. Why Filthy Frank
quit YouTube, Joji.
So with that, it's going to tell you a lot.
Okay, all right.
So should we just get to the fucking video? Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay.
This show has come a long way. It's been quite a while since we began.
Hey guys, I'm back.
I know that guy. What'd it do?
The Filthy Frank Show. So this is what you guys have been up to, huh?
Do you have a secret? I know they have a secret.
I have not been well the last couple months. Long story short, I was born with this, but I was recently...
I don't even know if he's joking or not.
Isn't it interesting to see how many different YouTubers have recently just been like, alright, time to become a rapper. KSI, Rice Gum, Cody Cohen Noel, Jake Paul, Sky Does Minecraft. I mean, even Rich Brian was a Viner before he took a dabble in the music world.
Alright class, there's no such thing as a stupid question, so just ask me anything, alright? Why do you choose to be a teacher?
However, few of these rappers have been able to replicate their success on YouTube to their success in the music world. And it makes sense, really. They would have had countless hours invested in their content creation skill comparative to the time spent improving upon their music. Another angle is that it's perhaps the stigma surrounding the fact that they were previously a YouTuber. Steezy Kane mentioned this in a video and I thought it was kind of true.
Every single YouTuber who's like made that transition, it's never usually worked because like they're looked at as a YouTuber. That's why I don't want to get too big.
It's not like you're ever going to see PewDiePie in a feature-length film because he's always just going to be that guy from YouTube. And I think there are very few people who listen to KSI's music thinking of him as KSI the music artist. It's always going to be just KSI the YouTuber. There's not many YouTubers that have been able to supersede the inflexibility of the situation. It's not an easy thing to do, but some people have done it with success. And there's one individual who's done it on a scale like no other. In fact, if anything, his transition out of YouTube and into music was arguably the greatest success story of any YouTuber attempting to leave the YouTube world. An excellent piece of precedent for any other individual looking to pursue a similar pathway. I'm of course talking about the one and only Filthy Frank, aka Joji.
So what would you say your main concerns are? What do you want us to fix? And why?
But there has to be a reason as to why Filthy Frank left YouTube to pursue an alternate creative endeavor. In Filthy Frank's official statement about why he left comedy to pursue music, he claimed that it was because he no longer enjoyed making the content as well as medical reasons, which he later revealed to be stress-induced seizures.
I was recently diagnosed with a brain condition that ironically gives me seizures. You know, this whole time we thought it was so funny doing these fake seizures, and now some call it bad luck, some call it karma, but ironically, boss.
Hey boss, I have a seizure.
But I mean, come on, there's got to be something a little bit deeper than that here. Mainly relating to his first point in the statement, we have to ask why he no longer enjoyed making the content. Was it the fact that he had just outgrown his goals, or was it the fact that the adpocalypse totally nuked his revenue and channel views? Perhaps it was because of his medical condition, or maybe even his concern for the politically correct culture that had transformed since he began creating videos. We are going to explore all of these possibilities by taking a deep dive into why Filthy Frank stopped making videos. Feeling stuck, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like you're stuck in a rut. It's an interesting position to be in because sometimes what caused it is often the achievement of something that a while ago you might have dreamed of accomplishing. I've felt it in the YouTube world, and I think we've all felt it in multiple different areas. It really can be applied to anything where you have a goal or an aim. When you get 100 subscribers, it's like, whoa, imagine getting 1,000. Then you get 1,000 and it's like, imagine getting 10,000. Then it's like, imagine getting 100,000, etc. There really is minimal difference upon achieving each goal because all that happens is you just ponder the next higher number. There seems to be this natural propensity for wanting more, thinking that when we do have more, there'll be this golden period where we can just sit back and do sweet bugger all because we've done enough. We've finished enough work, or we've got enough subscribers, or we've earned enough money, and that at some point we'll just be content with what we've built. Perhaps there is a point like that. I guess that's what they call retirement. But are you really content at that point? There's always going to be something else to do, something higher to strive for. The only thing you really can do to keep yourself happy is to constantly improve upon your previous self with higher goals, or in Filthy Frank's situation, your previous persona. Look, regardless of whatever all that might mean to you, the underlying principle that I'm trying to outline is that you feel stuck when you've outgrown what you previously wanted in life. And the only real way to overcome that is to desire something bigger, something more outrageous than your previous goal. This is a very plausible but also arguable reason for why Filthy Frank might have stopped uploading. Filthy Frank might have felt as though he had outgrown what was possible for him to achieve on YouTube. Now it's plausible because, well, mainly Frank was doing YouTube for an extremely long period of time. He had smashed a lot of goals. I mean, he basically invented the Harlem Shake, one of the greatest memes of 2010. He got 1 million subscribers, then 2 million subscribers, then 5 million subscribers. He was fairly up there on the YouTube hierarchy and might have felt as though trying to push higher was futile and more effort than it was worth. But on the other end, you can argue that there really is no upper limit to what can be achieved on YouTube. There's no end goal because you can always aim higher. There's always going to be someone with more subscribers or views than you. But let me frame it in a slightly different way, because regardless of whether there is or isn't an upper limit on YouTube achievability, what seems to happen is you hit this point where you kind of realize that you have the influence to successfully pursue other creative endeavors that you might not have previously had the opportunity for. Around the time when Filthy Frank was looking to transition into music, he had an extensive subscriber base, but the Filthy Frank / Pink Guy meme was going on for a while. It was beginning to become a bit cliche, so he was at a crossroads. He had 3 different options. Firstly, he could stay with the Filthy Frank meme, but it was slowly becoming a cliche. Secondly, he could change his content and stay on YouTube, or finally, he could move on to another creative endeavor. Well, the first one is doomed because no matter how great the meme is, it will eventually die at some point. The second option, changing his content, is a possibility, but I mean, what else could he really do? What, Filthy Frank Gaming? That actually sounds like a pretty good idea. Anyway, the third option just seemed most viable, to move on to another creative endeavor. But then that creates another argument. Did Filthy Frank outgrow his YouTube goals, or did YouTube outgrow Filthy Frank? Was Filthy Frank kind of at a point where the meme was dying and he actually needed to move on to keep the meme alive without oversaturating it? Well, this was PewDiePie's opinion, that he got out right at the perfect time.
He wouldn't be able to keep making this kind of content. There's no way. I think he left at a perfect time. And like, if he just did this shtick all over and over and over and over, people wouldn't like it either. You wouldn't like it either.
And this is kind of what Filthy Frank explained himself. In an interview with Vice, he explained that he had felt as though he had achieved everything he could possibly achieve on YouTube.
I was under the impression that, you know, that was my pinnacle.
It's your peak.
This is my opus. This is my opus. Like, I'm gonna be yelling on the internet, making semi-valid points here and there. You know, I thought that was, like, I was depressed that was gonna be it.
Perhaps the sad truth was that Filthy Frank saw that the meme was on the way out. That might be what his peak was, driving the meme as far as it could go without it becoming cliche. October 2016, Filthy Frank's high watermark, his most viewed month on YouTube with a decline following. And I can't shake the sneaking suspicion that this had something to do with the adpocalypse. I want to examine the financial motivation from both YouTube and Filthy Frank. Now, while it seems obvious that the primary motivation of Filthy Frank's channel is most certainly not financial, it's still a factor that can't be ignored. After the first adpocalypse, I dare say that a very solid chunk of his channel would have been demonetized or put on limited ads. And again, even if money isn't the primary motivator and only an extra little reward for doing what you love, a drop in revenue is still going to constitute a drop in motivation. Like, for example, imagine he's getting paid around 60k a month in ad revenue, which is roughly what his channel would have been pulling at its peak. Then the next month it drops to maybe 5 or 10k. The motivation to continue just isn't going to be as prevalent. I love this comment by Dr. Filliger when discussing Filthy Frank leaving YouTube. He wouldn't have gotten monetized anymore. He'd have to start shilling sponsorships and changing his content to fit advertisers, as well as asking for Patreon money or something, and his content would have just taken a complete dive if he kept it up. Maybe it already started happening and he saw it coming, and that's what pushed him off in the first place. Who knows? But I think he left at a perfect time and will be remembered as a legend. And it's kind of true. Imagine Filthy Frank having to change to family-friendly content or start advertising Raid Shadow Legends before one of his videos. But let's ignore the money altogether and think about the potential demonetized status of the channel. YouTube claims that videos aren't recommended based on whether they're monetized or not, but I have rock solid evidence from a grand total of one of my videos which might suggest otherwise. But I've seen many other content creators talk about their videos being buried after being demonetized as well, so I'm almost certain that the monetization of a video plays a part in the algorithm.
What's YouTube's incentive to promote a video if they're not, running ads on it? If they're not running ads on it, they can't make money on it, so what incentive should they have to promote it?
With this being said, if all of his videos are demonetized, they're gonna get recommended less, meaning that there'll be more resistance against his growth, a compounding effect towards a drop in motivation to continue YouTube. There's another thing worth talking about if we're on the topic of YouTube changes. What about the shift in what was accepted and politically correct on YouTube? What was acceptable in 2013, 2014, and 2015 was unfortunately drastically different in 2017. A lot of it might owe to the fact that people making severely politically incorrect content like Filthy Frank could no longer be monetized, which you might tie into the previous point. I'm in total agreement with Daniella's comment on a Filthy Frank video. People would be so offended if he were to start his channel at this time. This type of comedy is dying off. Going back to Filthy Frank's statement about why he no longer uploaded comedy content, it was mentioned that along with no longer enjoying making the content, he was also suffering from medical conditions hindering his ability to create content. This was discussed in one of Filthy Frank's final videos.
But unfortunately, what happens here is a lot of the seizures are actually induced by stress, which unfortunately a lot of it comes from running this show.
Now, I'm not really trying to call him out here because I'm not really sure about the extent of what he was suffering from, but if he suffers from stress-induced seizures, I would imagine that being Joji would be significantly more stressful than Filthy Frank on YouTube. But again, there are so many different factors here I don't even want to comment on it. Regardless, one of the reasons that Filthy Frank stated to have stopped creating videos was his medical conditions. But for Filthy Frank, the medical conditions or simple label of previously being a YouTuber wasn't enough to stop it. He had to go ahead with the transition because he simply felt stuck on YouTube. The downside of being stuck on YouTube far outweighed the downside of being seen as a former YouTuber. In fact, if anything, becoming Joji might have helped his YouTube channel. He's still very relevant on the platform, getting over 10 million views per month. However, in doing comedy, he felt jaded. He felt like he had outgrown his goal. He felt as though he had hit his comedic peak and needed to move on to something else. But not only had he outgrown his goals, the entire YouTube landscape was shifting underneath his feet to a system that didn't really benefit his content style. Demonetization and a change in the acceptance of political correctness are two factors that likely led to a drop in motivation and the desire for a new artistic project, hence the birth of Joji. And then going back to what we said in the beginning about YouTubers struggling to shake off the former YouTube title, Filthy Frank explained that when he was getting close to making the transition into Joji, he had the fear of people seeing him as Filthy Frank the YouTuber rather than Joji the music artist.
Is it hard to deal with people who really just see you as Filthy Frank and they just want more Filthy Frank?
Back when I was too afraid to make the transition, it was a genuine concern.
However, one thing that Filthy Frank aka Joji has proven is that your past does not equal your future. We have this strange thing where we think that however we're feeling now is going to be how we're feeling forever. But Filthy Frank has proven that wrong. He's shown that if there are things that you don't like about yourself, you can just go ahead and change them. Maybe not overnight, and there may be some leftover stigma from the change, but it just proves that if there's something you don't like about anything, then you can change it with a bit of effort. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's going to be all for this video, guys. If you guys could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate the hell out of that. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I'm gonna just go ahead and go back to the beginning of the video when they were like, I can't even remember, one of the Paul brothers, the one that has the
Jake Paul.
There are people who are gonna be like, oh, she said he's a douchebag. I don't know about that one, that brother specifically.
They're both pretty.
I know
equally.
that he looks like a douchebag, and I hate his brother. So I categorize him in the same. They both just seem like fucking douchebags.
They're both pretty big douchebags.
So anyway, there's that.
I can be a douchebag at times.
Well, what he did on YouTube was atrocious.
Right, that was pretty fucked up.
Anyway, this was inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts, Nikki.
Well, I think that he did what he wanted to. Stop staring at me like that. And it worked really well for when it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm happy to see that he's doing what he wants to do, now. And I couldn't imagine him
doing it well.
40 years old and still trying to be pink guy. You have to kind of switch it up.
I think his transition is pretty badass. I mean, he makes great music. He's very talented, very artistic dude. Still funny, does funny shit in his music videos, so he's still funny.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this. Like, I feel like he's become a better guy. He's become a better person, it seems like. But is nowhere near as entertaining or fun to look into and see what he's up to. Tom Green.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you
Tom Green took a change for getting away from his normal comedy shtick and everything. And
I watched an interview with him. He went on the Drew Barrymore show. I don't watch the Drew Barrymore show, but I saw a clip of it. And he seemed very happy. He has his dog. He was going in a van and driving across country.
Yeah.
Seemed like he was happy. Does he have a great career?
Tom Green.
I don't think so.
Tom Green, for those of you that don't know, but if you're watching this video, I would hope that you know who Tom Green and Andy Kaufman both are, because they're the godfathers of this kind of shit. But he went from this pink guy-esque type comedian who would do ridiculous shit like drink milk straight from the udder in the middle of the supermarket after dragging a live cow into the middle of the supermarket. He did a lot of this going out in public and fucking with people in the most ridiculous ways. kind of stuff. And I mean, ridiculous.
Like what, early 2000s?
Early 2000s, late
Like
90s.
yeah.
It was starting like 98 on MTV, I believe, but in Canada on local access TV, he was up there in like 96, 97. He was in a hip hop group similar to the Beastie Boys before that was really successful
Always
in Canada.
blows my mind.
So he can rap. He's really good at rap, but he just became this bland, dry, boring Neil Young wannabe desperado driving across the country in a van with his dog. I'm a man's man.
I know why you're saying this, because he was mean to you.
No, I like the fact that he was mean to me and he was a dick to me when I called his podcast. When I talked to Tom Green, I got Tom Green. Now, that conversation wouldn't happen that way.
Maybe that's just a character that he played. Maybe that's not actually Tom Green. Maybe he doesn't want to be.
I'm glad that he's doing whatever he wants to do for himself.
Yes.
But me as a fan of his art and stuff. Well, then
would you like to see Tom Green still being Tom Green now?
I would like for Tom Green to do things that don't suck. His music sucks now. He doesn't say anything funny. It's like if he were to be like, I'm Tom Green the Mountain Man. I'm going to put out videos of me and my dog on the road, and that's it, and it's all good. Or I am going to make this Americana music.
And right now is the right time.
I don't fucking know, Chad.
It's awful.
I just thought that you were upset that he wasn't like putting anything out.
Oh, I just know how talented this guy is when he's not trying to be something else. When he's really himself, when he's Tom Green, when he's the rapper, the comedian, the skateboarder, you can tell when people are in their element.
Yeah.
And when they're running away from who they are and trying to adopt something so hard that it turns out like that. He doesn't even know what to say. This guy's a lyrical mastermind. If you listen to some of his rap music.
Tom Green.
I'm coming around the mountain with a red Corvette, and I'm coming at you live on your television set. There's nothing that I want that I don't got yet.
Tom Green can spit, dude. He is a legitimate, like, his group in Canada was relatively big. So, like, there you have the parallel of an artist who, like, takes a different approach, and it just doesn't work out. And it's oftentimes when people try to be something that they're not. That shit was in Joji, and I've seen in interviews where he talked about, you know, making music for a really long time before he ever showed it to anybody, like middle school on. And Lil Wayne was a huge influence on Joji and a few other artists, but mainly Lil Wayne when it came to like the sounds he was rapping on, like the beats and stuff, because Joji creates his own shit, like his beats, he does his own thing. So like you can't just adopt a persona to escape and this persona be completely removed from who you actually are. It just doesn't. A lot of times, especially when you're big and you got a lot of eyeballs on you right when you start something new, you got to be authentic about it. If you're not, people will sniff that out and shit all over you for it. It's happened to a lot of people. D.D. Ramone had a rap album that was fucking atrocious. It was so bad. He left the Ramones to pursue a rap career. Didn't work out for him. He came back. Imagine that. But I'm glad for his success.
Yeah. I know for me, I didn't know who Pink Guy was. I wasn't on the internet like that. I'm still not on the internet like that unless you guys show me. But I know that he's wildly successful with what he's doing right now.
Is.
Which I'm sure he owes a lot of that to, you know,
the money for sure. I mean, money helps launch people into music.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, using YouTube to do what he wants to do. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I upload songs to this channel.
Yeah.
I upload music to this channel. I live stream my band's performances on this channel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is us, you know. We do our thing on here, so I totally get it, and am so glad that he has been able to make that transition successfully and hopefully open the door for other people that want to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know who did it bigger before him? Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube. That's how Justin Bieber got started.
Did I know that?
I don't know, but of course he was playing music on YouTube. It wasn't like he wasn't. That's what he was doing on YouTube. But that's the platform that he first uploaded his shit to and got discovered.
Interesting.
Yeah. So who knows what can happen when you have a platform so large? If you pop off doing anything, it could be your break. But for him, you know, I hope he continues to pave the way, and he's doing a great job at it. What do you think? What was your first experience with Joji / Filthy Frank / Pink Guy? Was it the comedy aspect, or did you get into the music? Let us know down in the comment section, because I'm really curious to see what that ratio looks like. I wonder if he has more fans now as a musician.
The people who are on our channel or
Probably
are watching
Pink Guy.
this, probably Filthy Frank stuff.
Probably.
The people who told me I needed to watch Hair Cake, probably the Filthy Frank.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But let us know. Also, give us a like, a subscription if you don't mind. Hell, you could even request a reaction from us.
You can do that in the comments below, as well as tell us how you know about Joji, Filthy Frank, Pink Guy, all the other names. Or on our Discord, which we will have linked in the description, as well as the original video, which is
Sunny V2.
This show has come a long way.
So yeah, you can go subscribe to their channel if you liked this content. And like Chad said, you could do all those wonderful things for us. But I think that's going to do it for this one.
Yeah, I think that's it.
See you.
See ya.